Hey folks, it's Dr. Mike. I'm back here for tip number 41 in our Medical Exercise Training 101 ebook series. Now, tip number 41. What should I charge for MET services, medical exercise training services? Folks, I get this question all the time, and this answer is one we formulated back in the early 2000s, and it has not changed, and we're now in 2025. I think this guideline holds up across the board wherever you are, any place here in North America, or actually even around the world. And if you would, let me read it and we'll talk a little bit about it. MET, or medical exercise training, requires a different approach along with additional skills and knowledge. First, determine the average fee for personal training assessment and personal training sessions in your community. So call around, find out what the average fee is for personal training sessions as well as the personal training assessment. For MET sessions, I recommend you charge 20 to 50% above the average personal training rates. So if there's an individual in the community who's a personal trainer and they're charging $50 for their personal training sessions, you need to charge 25 to 50% above that for your medical exercise training services. We'll talk about specifically what those services include in just a few moments. For an MET assessment, I recommend a charge at least 50% greater than the average charge for a personal training assessment. Okay, so let me rehash. If you're working with MET clients and you're providing MET sessions, charge a minimum of 25 to a maximum of 50% above the going rate in your community for personal training sessions. For an MET assessment, whatever the going rate is for a personal training assessment, charge 50% or more for that. And the reason is, as a medical exercise professional, you're looking at more than a personal trainer, okay? As a medical exercise professional, you're looking at training more than the personal trainer does. So please, if you would, let me continue on. The reason for the higher charges: to provide MET services, you've invested money and time to complete the MEST program or whatever program you did. You also must communicate via phone and letter with medical professionals. Now, folks, that's a requirement. If you're doing medical exercise training services and you're billing for those, this client has a medical condition, folks, it is paramount. It is your professional responsibility to communicate with their doctor, therapist, or chiropractor. That is a must. This communication requires time and effort. You should be compensated for it, but do not charge the client for each phone call or written correspondence you have with the doctor. You're not charging for the individual correspondence or communication. You're providing for a higher level of professionalism. But simply roll the cost into your assessment or training fees. But let me caution you, if you're looking at higher fees just as an additional revenue source, as in you got the certification just to charge more, think twice. As a medical exercise professional, you're obligated to communicate with the client's therapist, physician, or chiropractor. Don't simply collect the money and forget the communication component. But also along with that, you have to train at a higher level, because you have to assess this client for their functional deficits and then train to improve their level of function. Not making them feel better or they lose weight or they just feel more energy, but we're training for a specific functional outcome. The higher MET fees warrant a higher level of service, professionalism, and outcomes. Now, folks, we've been doing this now for 31 years. We've had plenty of fitness professionals that have come along and taken the course, get the certification just so I can charge more. I can get paid more at the club. But folks, when you start really attracting the medically based client, you're going to have to communicate with that doctor, therapist, or chiropractor. That's when we'll see if you really are a professional or you just got the certification for the heck of it. But then also with the complicated client, you may have to talk to that doctor 2 or 3 times. You may have to send a progress report. And with that, now that's where we see those individuals that really want to do medical exercise training will shine, and the other individuals will just gradually discard or not care about that medical exercise training client other than just simply to charge higher. So we're hoping at this point in 2025, as we're seeing medical exercise training growing across the globe, we will now start to see more individuals dedicated to the profession of medical exercise training rather than just simply having a certification that allows them to charge a little bit more. Now, let me continue on to the next page with tip number 41. Another important point is the idea of freebies. I highly recommend you never give away your MET assessment. You can give away our musculoskeletal screening or your screening process, but never a free assessment. A screening is just that. A screening is to determine if the client is appropriate for exercise and if there are any red flags. Give that away all day long. The screening can be your freebie. If you're going to a health fair or you're inviting individuals in for a free session, use your screening to determine if they have any problems. But your assessment goes in deeper. The assessment is your professional knowledge. When you give that away, you're discounting and diminishing your services. So if you would please, let me continue on. The MET assessment is the basis for every aspect of MET services you will provide. This is when you showcase your skills, your knowledge, and your professionalism. You take the information you've gathered in the MET assessment and use it to put together the client's program. Don't give this away, and please discourage other MESs, PRCSs, or MET PDs from doing the same. The free MET assessment weakens the entire profession regardless of the geographic location. Let me continue on. Please package your MET service to attract MET clients, referrals, and maybe even insurance carriers. Package your services into a 4 and maximum 8-week program that manages specific medical conditions with exercise. In a 4 to 8 week program, could you educate and train the client to lose weight, also better manage their diabetes or improve their gait after a stroke? You could, after they're finished with physical therapy. Could you put this package together and include training sessions, the assessment, and a couple lifestyle management sessions? You could. Could you use this program with individual clients as well as groups? You could. Could you package these programs for specific medical conditions and market them to medical professionals in your community? You could. Could you focus these programs on functional outcome measures as the gauge to determine their effectiveness? You could. And finally, could you track the outcomes of these programs and use this information to market to clients, medical professionals, and insurance carriers? You could. Our MedFit group training programs, you can find them on our website at www.postrehab.com, is similar to the programs we just talked about. And what we do is we provide you with a short slide presentation and also educate you into how to design a program that includes a short presentation at the beginning of each session, followed by a 30 to 45-minute exercise program that looks at specific diseases or conditions, and you can even use this as a group training program or for individual training. We recommend a charge of anywhere from roughly $360 per participant for a 30-day, 6-session program that includes lifestyle management and education. Folks, one of the things we're seeing now as our healthcare system is inundated with chronic conditions, doctors and therapists, chiropractors are overwhelmed. They need someone to help them with the lifestyle education as well as keeping the clients exercising, but also to be their eyes and ears out there in the community. So I highly recommend you think about this idea of how you can use group-based training along with lifestyle education to help the medical professional better manage their patients. So if you go to medfitgrouptraining.com, you'll find information on our group-based programs that include education along with exercise. Those two together, folks, produce outcomes, and the medical community needs those, as well as the insurance carriers. So with that, these programs also, they take about 10 to 12 participants per group, or you can do these individually. So with that, please go over to MET101ebook.com, download your free copy of our ebook, and email me at drmike@postrehab.com if you have any questions. All the best. We'll see you in tip 42.